Have you been forced to be aware of Riverdale's existence against your will, been plagued by it in pop culture, heard "you don't know the true highs and lows of football" one too many times? I'm so sorry. And I'm with you. Hopefully today we can commiserate together about how god-awful this show is. Let's do it. Honestly, Riverdale's probably one of the worst shows to be released recently. Maybe not the worst, because Big Mouth exists, but it's up there. Honestly, if you don't know what Riverdale's like at this point, please stop watching this video. Please continue living your blissfully ignorant life. Everybody wishes they were you. Obviously, we all know that Riverdale is iconic for its terrible dialogue.
You wanted fire? Sorry, Cheryl, bombshell. My specialty's ice.
And its batshit plot points. But when we do discuss Riverdale, we always talk about it like it's one of a kind, like we've never seen this before. But we have. There was a Heather Chandler to Riverdale's Regina George, a predecessor, if you will. Glee. In the year of our Lord 2009, American producer Ryan Murphy birthed us Glee. Some of you might know him as the mighty force behind American Horror Story, Scream Queens, and The Politician. Ryan has the balls to do what not many other producers have done: create shows that are unapologetically fucking insane. In my humble opinion, though, none of it will ever compare to Glee. Glee, like Riverdale, followed a story of high school students, but unlike Riverdale, Glee particularly followed the members of a high school glee club called the New Directions. It was definitely an ensemble cast type show, which I know Riverdale was a little bit, but Glee was even more so there's basically just a ton going on at all times. Let me just recount to you guys what some of the craziest plot points in Glee were, just so you can get a feel for the show if you haven't watched it yourself, which you should. First of all, one of the main characters, Finn, had an existential crisis when he made a grilled cheese that he thought looked like Jesus, and proceeded to have almost a religious awakening over it. Another main character in a different episode, Rachel Berry, played by our favorite Leah Michele, sends a girl who wanted to join the Glee Club to a crack house because she thought that she would steal her spotlight in Glee Club. Sue Sylvester, a coach at the high school and an icon in all her glory, had a shrine dedicated to shipping two of her former students together, and then proceeded to trap said students in an elevator together and communicated to them via a jigsaw-esque puppet of herself, riding on a mini tricycle, of course. Mr. Schuster singing the thong song to Emma, who was wearing a wedding dress. Oh god. Some of the students went to the dentist and had anesthesia-induced Britney Spears-themed dreams, hallucinations. Either way. And I would say one of the most notable is when Mr. Schuster, who, if I didn't mention before, was like the director of the Glee Club, when he told all of the Glee Club kids that they were all minorities because they were in Glee Club.
You were right to shine the spotlight on the fact that those kids are minorities. Because you're all minorities. You're in the Glee Club.
Oh my god, the list just goes on. The list goes on. So obviously Glee has a lot of crazy plot points, ones that some may argue could rival or at least compare to Riverdale's, but some of you may be wondering why these shows are similarly insane, and something I discovered later in my creation of this video is that the creator of Riverdale, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, was actually a co-producer and writer on Glee. He even wrote a comic book called Archie Meets Glee, in which, as you can probably guess, the Archie characters, which if you don't know already are the same as the Riverdale characters, meet the Glee characters. It wouldn't be that surprising if Roberto took some inspiration from the cheesy drama in Glee to use in his own show. It definitely proves that these shows are at least comparable. But the difference between Riverdale and Glee is that Glee could do Riverdale, but Riverdale could never do Glee. Like, I could totally see the scene that happens in Riverdale with like Archie going to jail, and then he has that really corny line being like, "You don't know the true highs and lows of high school football."
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
Like, I could totally seeing that happen in Glee, and it would be so good. Like, it wouldn't be bad, it would be so good. And so, like, why is that? Honestly, there's just something about teen dramedies that I feel like no other genre can capture. Like, the inherent corniness is just a part of the genre, and honestly, what makes it so iconic and so loved. It's this sense of hyper-realism that not a lot of other genres can really capture. They both capture this sense of drama that does happen in real life when you're in high school. Because, like, when you're in high school, the drama that happens, it feels like life or death. But then later you realize that it was the most inconsequential thing to, like, ever exist. And I feel like both Riverdale and Glee just do that so perfectly. Maybe Glee a little bit more because, you know, maybe some of the drama in Riverdale is actually life or death. But, you know, with all the, like, love hexagons going on in Riverdale, I think they definitely still have that element as well. So, like, both shows capture this sense of panic and drama and then go on to heighten it even more by creating this insanity, these insane plot lines that would obviously never happen in real life and just make it so ridiculous. They're dramatized versions of reality. But again, Glee just does this so much better. Why? Honestly, I think a lot of it does boil down to the genre. While I did call them both dramedies, obviously Glee is a lot more comedy, Riverdale is a lot more drama. With Glee, we know from the get-go what to expect. We go into this knowing it's a comedy, and so when these crazy things start happening, while we might not have exactly predicted these because they are really strange, they do make sense. And then as you continue to watch the show, you get accustomed to it. And it really is what the show is all about. This, like, crazy hyper-reality comedy. It's amazing. And they also start it really early on. Like, within the first episode or two, you will understand what the humor is in this show.
I am not homophobic. In fact, I have two gay dads. See, I was born out of love. My two dads screened potential surrogates based on beauty and IQ. Then they mixed their sperm together and used a turkey baster. To this day, we don't know which one is my real dad, which I think is pretty amazing.
And you will already know that this is going to be a crazy ride. And so you're not going to be surprised when they start throwing these weird ass plot lines at you in the future, because you've been prepared for this. You know not to take them seriously, and honestly, after a point, I think people start watching it because of how insane it is, and it just works so well. Like, Glee is batshit insane, but it's consistently batshit insane, and that's what the people appreciate. Riverdale, on the other hand, did start pretty normal. Like, it was corny as hell, don't get me wrong, but, like, it went pretty well with the teen drama genre. Like, obviously nobody thinks that high school students would realistically actually go out and solve a murder mystery, but, like, that type of plots have been around forever, and, like, it's what Scooby-Doo did, and yet we went along with it, so, like, it's not that shocking. It's a pretty typical plot. It embodied the teenage drama genre pretty well, which made it understandably popular. Wait, yeah, weren't you a fan of Riverdale when it first started? Wait, oh my god, yeah, you literally dressed up as Betty for Halloween one year. Holy
Oh my
shit,
God.
no way. No further questions. Either way, season 1 was stomachable, alright? Season 2 started to get a little bit crazier, you know, with, like, the big plot point being, like, the killer or the villain ended up being Betty, one of the main characters' dad. But it was still the same type of, like, drama, mystery solving, murder mystery, etc. Like, it was still the same type of thing, just with the stakes a little bit higher. Season 3 is when it started to crash and burn and people started to take notice. Supernatural things were starting to suddenly be included with absolutely no foreshadowing and no proper build-up to it at all.
We may have an idea for how to bolster Cheryl's power to, 1, improve our chances of taking down that comet, and 2, augment her phoenix energies so that when she uses them up, no one has to die.
It didn't fit the canon at all. Like, yes, everything before was ridiculous and dramatic, but it all could be explained within the, like, realm of reason and logic and, you know, earthly happenings. I truly do not understand what type of crack the writers were doing when they decided to do supernatural things, because I don't know who asked for that. Nobody did. It was what nobody signed up for, and we were all deeply uncomfortable. Yes, I included we because I was watching it at this point. Season 1. They were just a band of high schoolers going on to solve a local murder mystery. By season 3, there started to be, like, cult meetings and gang wars. And then by season 6, which isn't even the last season, Archie and Betty end up in this like alternate reality called Riverdale, where there is, quote from the wiki, ghosts, curses, witches, demons, human sacrifices, and arguably the scariest, special guest stars galore. Said Riverdale dimension hasn't really been explained in the show yet. At this point, it could just be a dream that Archie is having. But when you find out that the reason that Archie could be dreaming is the fact that there was a bomb placed under his bed that could have exploded and sent him into a coma, and that's why he's dreaming, it doesn't make anything sound more reasonable, does it? All in all, season 6 compared to season 1 of Riverdale is just literally a completely different show and not what anybody signed up for when they started watching Riverdale. Glee, on the other hand, while it does deteriorate in its quality as the seasons go on, it's still the same show by the end of it, like the same characters, same ideas, same premises, etc. It makes sense. I feel like the change in arcs and characters in these shows really like demonstrate this really well. Like, let's take Rachel Berry for example. At the start of Glee, she's an ambitious, irritating high school student that has really big dreams of being on Broadway. At the end of the show, she's an ambitious, irritating adult who has had a successful career on Broadway. At the start of Riverdale, Veronica Lodge is an ambitious girl boss high school student who wants to become a better person. But now in Riverdale, Veronica is an ambitious girl boss witch who died via self-sacrifice and was resurrected. Oh my god. I could go on forever about how I genuinely don't know what the writers were thinking. I would pay so much money to like get to talk with one of them and see what the fuck they were thinking, because they could not have been sober in the writing room. Obviously the plot points are the main reasons of why these shows are so crazy, but the cherry on top of what makes Riverdale so goddamn insufferable is the dialogue.
You gave me the kiss of life, Archie Andrews. Now I've given it to your dad.
Riverdale tries so hard to resonate with Gen Z, and they do that by just making their dialogue full of terribly used slang and like feminist buzzwords. Like, for example, Veronica's like their staple girl boss character, and so she says stuff like, "I beg your misogynistic pardon?"
I beg your misogynistic pardon?
Look, Glee says some crazy shit, but they say it because they know it's crazy.
Hunky and I'm what they call predatory gay.
While all of Riverdale's lines are supposed to be like super savage moments or like mic drop girl boss pussy slay queen, and like it's just so bad. Besides Veronica, easily one of the cringiest characters with dialogue is Cheryl Blossom, who is like their mean girl character, the high bitch in charge, if you will. And she says things like, "I'm in the mood for chaos. I'm Cheryl Blossom, aka Cheryl Bombshell," which means I need no reasons. I simply am. And I want to be a role model for people, even the ones who need makeup really badly.
Listen up, ragamuffins. Out of the way, Bert and Ernie.
Honestly, those probably aren't even the worst lines she said. I'm probably like making her look good right now. Like, she probably has so many worse lines. Honestly, also just like line delivery in general is just such a terrible issue in Riverdale. Like, yeah, the writers give them terrible dialogue in the first place, but I feel like the actors don't really try to do anything with them either. Like, again, one of the things that made Glee so good is the delivery. Like, I could totally see Santana, who was like the head bitch in charge in Glee.
Hey, what is this? What happened to this beat a family? Hey!
Oh, please. She has a family. She's a mother. Walk away!
Say any of Cheryl's lines, but it wouldn't be cringy. I would eat that up. It would work so well because Santana's actress's delivery was so good with every line she said.
I've got a gay. Go. Go, I've got to go.
And so she could make the cringiest lines sound amazing. So like, obviously it's a writer problem, but yeah, it is a little bit of an actor problem. Sorry, Riverdale actors. No shade. Love you. Also, it's not like the Glee writers made the students sound like adults or anything, but they just didn't try and use terrible slang every other sentence. It's honestly also what makes Glee still so enjoyable to this day, and what will continue to make Riverdale even cringier as the years go on. Riverdale dates itself with every episode it releases and every awful reference it makes, because as time goes on, those references are going to make even less and less sense and be even less funny. Glee, on the other hand, doesn't make a lot of specific references besides like musical artists at the time and their egregious early 2010s fashion. Like, it can still continue to be enjoyable, say like 20 years in the future, but Riverdale will not age so gracefully. All in all, after reflecting on Glee, I just think that Riverdale missed out on the huge opportunity of being a good, bad show. Like, Glee is good, bad. Riverdale's just bad, bad. Like, Riverdale could have been camp, and I don't say that word much because I don't want to do camp injustice, but it could have been. And it's not. It's not even a little bit. Somehow, it's still making tons of money. Oh, I love the entertainment industry. I would try and comfort you guys by saying maybe you could watch Riverdale in an ironic way and maybe be better. But no, Riverdale is just the worst show to ever be made. Except for fucking Big Mouth.